Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be discussing the fate of the Lost City and Colossus. Now, I did do a similar video a couple of weeks ago, and that video did go down really well, so I thought I'd make another one. But instead of just focusing on Colossus this time, I'm going to be talking in the wider area of the Lost City, and we'll just see what could happen if the removal of Colossus eventually happens, and just things that could affect the general area. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Colossus, the ride that I'm pretty sure gives you minor brain damage, is obviously one of the first roller coasters that ever, came into the park, minus stuff like Flying Fish and, all that sort of stuff. This is one of the biggest investments that Thorpe Park made in its early days. So, obviously, that's a big part in Thorpe Park's history. So, obviously, it makes sense that they're not going to just get rid of it straight away. Obviously, it was the world's first 10-looping roller coaster. Obviously, that record has been smashed by the Smiler, which is another really good ride I'm going to get on this summer. And, obviously, like Logger's Leap, it has a lot of heritage to it, and obviously the removal of Logger's Leap surprised most of us, at least when it first closed and said it was going to be, temporarily closed. But the thing is with Colossus, because obviously it's a big, attraction, it's more going to lean towards it not being taken out, plainly because a lot of people ride it all the time, and, it just does the park some good. But the thing is the fact that this ride is getting old. Like I said, you do get just a tiny bit of brain damage. It really does hurt your head quite a bit. But I did notice if you do ride it on the front row, like the very front, it feels a lot faster. It feels a lot more smooth. So I would definitely recommend going on it in front row if you're going to do Colossus. It's worth the wait. Obviously, if you go on the back row, a lot of people say, oh, the back row is the best, it gets more forces. But on Colossus, that's a downfall, because more force means more shakier the kart is actually going to get, which means the more your head is going to get bashed around, pretty much. But I'd say it definitely is worth going on the front for Colossus. It feels a lot faster and is a more enjoyable experience. But that's not really what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be touching a little bit more on what could happen to the Lost City if Colossus did eventually either get rethemed or taken out. So obviously, with the potential retheme of Colossus, it would obviously affect the surrounding area. Because obviously we have the Lost City, which is where Colossus is situated. It is filmed towards like Atlantis and stuff like that, and gods and things like that. I feel like if Colossus was rethemed, I reckon the area might be rethemed as well, depending on what type of retheme it is. If it's a complete new retheme, then that has obviously got to happen. But if it is a small retheme that's along the same lines but just got a different sort of feel to it, then it could probably keep the area the same. Now, the thing is obviously there's a lot of flat rides in the Lost City, probably bigger the area in the park. Obviously, we don't really have that many flat rides over near, Nemesis and stuff, but this is probably one where you got most of them. You got Vortex, Rush, Quantum, all that sort of stuff. So I feel like it is, an important part of Thorpe Park. Without this, there wouldn't be much flat rides to do. It basically would be roller coasters. But the thing is here is the fact that obviously, like I said, they're all themed to this particular theme, but doesn't mean to say they can't keep the rides the same. Obviously, with flat rides, it's a little bit easier to quickly change the theme than other rides. Obviously, if it's a roller coaster, you've got these massive set pieces, these massive pieces of theming. It's harder to sort of, transport into a different theme. With these flat rides, give them a new paint job, give them some new signs, maybe add a little bit more theming around, and that's basically a retheme. And also, due to the fact that Quantum, I think, is closed. I'm going to have to check that in a minute. And to be quite honest, I wouldn't really mind seeing a retheme in this area, especially the fact that it's getting quite dull now. Like I said, you've got Quantum that's closed, you've got Colossus, which is on its last legs pretty much now. So I feel like this part of the Lost City would definitely benefit from a retheme. Obviously, most of the Lost City is right to the left towards, Rush and that. The other stuff to the right of Colossus isn't really that, heavy. It just mainly leads into Old Town, really. And I feel like they could do with a bit more theming around there just to keep it going, because it is mainly just a pathway. But to be quite honest, it's a good area. I mean, it's got nice big space. Obviously, it's where Bountzilla is. Obviously, we had Do or Die there last year. The year before that, we had the Big Top. Obviously, all that Fright Night stuff I did talk about in my last video, so definitely check that out if you're interested in that sort of stuff. But yeah, so a potential retheme I can see working perfectly well. It's not like it's going to be hard to retheme the area. There's not all that much theming. The biggest theming part's being on the ride itself. Okay, so on to the next thing I'm going to talk about is the removal of Colossus itself. Now, this is where things could start getting interesting. Because obviously, if they were to remove Colossus, it's a big area. I can definitely see a new coaster coming in then. And with the new coaster, generally it comes with a new theme. Obviously, all the stuff I just said just then applies to this as well. If we did get a new ride, I feel like we could be seeing some removals from the flat rides, possibly. If they want to create like a more immersive area, they could add like some new and improved flat rides rather than having the old ones there. Possibly even keeping the ones they've got. I don't really know much about that sort of stuff, but I feel like it would really benefit with a flat ride to the sort of right of it, right at the exit. Because there is not a lot there, to be quite honest. If there was to make another coaster and they sort of like redirect all the track, and then they could have some spaces over that way to build a small flat ride, even if it's not anything dramatic, it's still something new to add over there. Like I said, it's mainly just basically a pathway. Obviously, Colossus is probably, like I said, on its last legs, it's really old now. It is really, really old, and you can really feel when you're on the ride how old it truly is. I mean, you hear a lot of strange noises emitting from it. It's quite rough. You can hear it's not looking good. Obviously, the thing that's pointing towards the fact that it might not get a retheme is the fact that they've just added concrete and they've added like extra paint to the supports. So I feel like they're going to be supporting this ride for the next coming years, but eventually they're going to have to get rid of it, even though it is an old part of their history. Like I said, they've still got Smiler out at Alton Towers that Merlin own, that has still got the world record for most loops, so it's not like Merlin are going to be missing out on that world record at all, because obviously Smiler is a brilliant ride, and it is, you know, obviously still going to be a record holder for the next couple of years, I think. I don't think anything's going to beat it anytime soon. So it's not like Thorpe Park and Merlin won't have anything to brag about, obviously, because one of their sister parks has got one of the most looped roller coasters in the world, which is a big thing, to be quite honest. And I can see why it's such an important part of Colossus, because it was probably one of the biggest coasters in the UK at the time. Obviously, back when that came out, Chessington didn't really kick off at that point. Alton Towers was just starting to get good, and I feel like this is when the pinnacle part of theme park history was made in the UK. I feel like after Colossus, we got stuff like Nemesis, Stealth, and the park really picked up afterwards. So it is, like I said, it's a really important part of history, even more so than Logger's Leap. It is really important, and I feel like if they were to retheme it, it would be a much better decision than to take the ride out like officially. They can still brand it as the world's first 10 looping roller coaster, because technically it still is. It's not the current record holder, but it was the world's first, and that is the most important part. I feel like if they retheme it, it'll keep all the stuff. It'll keep the ride's layout, and it will basically feel like Colossus with a different theme. Possibly switching out the tracks a bit to make it a little bit more smoother and enjoyable. And I feel like that would really do Thorpe Park like a really good favour. Obviously, I don't think that'll happen in the next coming years. I feel like the next investment they're going to have will be in a completely new coaster. Possibly situated near Logger's Leap, or possibly on Site A, which is next to Swan Island. But yeah, that's basically it for today's video, guys. Hope you did enjoy. Definitely subscribe if you did like the video, as I will have more videos like this out in the next coming weeks. I do have Friday Nights videos out every week as well now, just to get you guys hyped up for that. And without further ado, I'll see you guys later.